Here are the 10 deadliest wars in history. Number 10. In the early 19th century, a single man's ambition set the stage for one of the most tumultuous periods in history, the Napoleonic Wars. From 1803 to 1815, Europe became a battlefield as Napoleon Bonaparte sought to expand his empire and assert French dominance. Imagine armies clashing in fierce combat, with strategies that would change the art of war forever. The stakes were high, and the consequences devastating. Estimates suggest that between 3.5 and 6 million lives were lost in this relentless struggle for power. But it wasn't just the loss of life that marked this era. The Napoleonic Wars redrew the map of Europe, dismantling old empires and forging new alliances. Nations rose and fell, and the balance of power shifted dramatically, leaving a legacy that would shape international relations for generations. As the dust settled in 1815, the world was forever changed. The echoes of cannon fire faded, but the impact of Napoleon's ambition would resonate throughout history, reminding us of the cost of power and the fragility of peace. Number 9. Russian Civil War, 1917 to 1922. In the wake of the Russian Revolution, a storm was brewing. The year was 1917, and the nation was torn apart by a fierce civil war. On one side stood the Red Army, fueled by the ideals of communism, while the opposing White Army fought to restore the old regime. But it wasn't just these two factions. Countless groups emerged, each with their own vision for Russia's future. As the war raged on from 1917 to 1922, the toll was staggering. Estimates suggest that between 7 to 12 million lives were lost. Entire cities lay in ruins, their streets echoing with the cries of despair. Families were torn apart, and communities shattered as loyalties shifted and allegiances were tested. Amidst the chaos, the Bolsheviks solidified their grip on power, using the turmoil to establish the Soviet Union. The brutal tactics employed during this period would leave a lasting mark on the nation, shaping its identity for decades to come. The Russian Civil War was not just a battle for territory. It was a fight for the soul of a nation, with consequences that would ripple through history. In the end, the conflict forged a new world order, one that would influence global politics and ideologies for generations. The scars of this war remind us of the cost of revolution and the fragility of Pekin. Number 8. 30 Years' War, 1618 to 1648. In the early 17th century, Europe was a powder keg of tension, and it all ignited with the 30 Years' War. What started as a religious conflict in the Holy Roman Empire spiraled into a catastrophic struggle that engulfed the continent. Imagine villages reduced to ashes, fields left barren, and a haunting silence where laughter once echoed. Famine swept through the land, and the death toll soared to a staggering 8 million lives lost. Families were torn apart, and communities shattered as the war raged on for 3 long decades. But amidst the chaos, a turning point emerged. In 1648, the Peace of Westphalia was signed, bringing an end to the bloodshed. This monumental agreement didn't just stop the fighting. It reshaped the very landscape of European politics, laying the groundwork for modern nation-states. The 30 Years' War serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of conflict and the resilience of humanity in the face of unimaginable hardship. Number 7. Lushan Rebellion, 755 to 763. In the year 755, a spark ignited a firestorm that would engulf the Tang dynasty. The Lushan Rebellion began as a military revolt led by General Lushan, a man once trusted by the emperor. But betrayal ran deep, and soon this trusted general turned against the very empire he served. As Lushan marched his troops toward the capital, chaos erupted. Cities fell, and the once mighty Tang dynasty crumbled under the weight of betrayal and bloodshed. Estimates of the death toll are staggering, ranging from 13 to a shocking 36 million lives lost. Families were torn apart, and entire regions were left in ruins. The rebellion lasted for 8 long years, a brutal civil war that reshaped the landscape of China. The aftermath was devastating. The Tang dynasty, once a beacon of culture and prosperity, was forever altered. The scars of this conflict ran deep, leading to a decline in power and influence that would echo through history. In the end, the Lushan Rebellion was not just a battle for power. It was a turning point that changed the course of a nation. The echoes of this uprising remind us of the fragility of empires and the devastating cost of civil strife. Number 6. Mongol conquests, 1206 to 1368. In the early 13th century, a force unlike any other began to rise from the steppes of Mongolia. Led by the fierce and visionary Genghis Khan, the Mongol Empire would soon sweep across Eurasia, leaving a trail of destruction and transformation in its wake. Cities fell to the Mongol onslaught, their walls crumbling under relentless siege. Populations were decimated, with estimates of 30 to 40 million lives lost during this brutal expansion. But amidst the chaos, something remarkable was unfolding. The Mongols, often seen as ruthless conquerors, were also unifiers, connecting vast regions through trade and communication. As they conquered, they established the Pax Mongolica, a period of relative peace that allowed the Silk Road to flourish. Ideas, cultures, and technologies flowed freely across continents, forever altering the course of history. The Mongol Empire became the largest continuous empire the world had ever seen, stretching from Eastern Europe to the shores of the Pacific. But what does this legacy mean for us today? The Mongol conquests were not just about war and destruction, they were a catalyst for cultural exchange and globalization. In just a few decades, they reshaped the world, proving that even the most devastating forces can lead to profound change. The story of the Mongols is a testament to the complexity of history, where destruction and creation often walk hand in hand. Number 5. Qing conquest of Ming, 1616 to 1662. In the early 17th century, China was a vast empire under the Ming dynasty, but beneath the surface, turmoil brewed. The Ming faced internal strife, corruption, and peasant uprisings, weakening their grip on power. Enter the Manchus, a nomadic tribe from the northeast, who saw an opportunity to seize control. In 1616, the Manchus declared war, igniting a conflict that would last for decades. As they advanced, they employed brilliant military strategies, capturing key cities and rallying support from disillusioned Ming subjects. The once mighty Ming dynasty began to crumble, and the war escalated into a brutal struggle for survival. By the time the dust settled in 1662, an estimated 25 million lives had been lost. Entire cities lay in ruins, and the social fabric of China was irrevocably altered. The Qing dynasty emerged victorious, ushering in a new era marked by both cultural flourishing and harsh repression. The conquest not only changed the ruling dynasty, but also transformed the very identity of China. The Manchus adopted Chinese customs, yet their rule was often met with resistance. This clash of cultures would shape the nation for centuries to come, leaving a legacy of resilience and adaptation in the face of overwhelming odds. Number 4. World War I, 1914 to 1918. In the summer of 1914, a spark ignited a powder keg. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand plunged Europe into chaos, marking the beginning of World War I, a conflict that would forever change the course of history. Imagine soldiers huddled in muddy trenches, facing relentless artillery fire and the haunting specter of gas attacks. This was not just a battle. It was industrial-scale killing, where over 20 million lives were lost. The horrors of machine guns and barbed wire transformed the battlefield into a hellscape, where survival was a daily gamble. As empires crumbled, alliances shifted, and nations were forever altered. The war left scars that ran deep. The Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires fell, paving the way for new nations and ideologies. But the end of the Great War was merely a prelude, setting the stage for an even greater conflict just 2 decades later. The legacy of World War I is a stark reminder of the fragility of peace. It taught the world that the cost of war is not just measured in lives lost, but in the dreams shattered and futures rewritten. The echoes of the trenches still resonate today, a haunting reminder of humanity's capacity for both destruction and resilience. Number 3. Taiping Rebellion, 1850–1864. In the mid-19th century, China was a powder keg of discontent. The Taiping Rebellion erupted in 1850, igniting a fierce civil war that would last for 14 devastating years. At its heart was the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, led by Hong Xiuquan, a man who claimed to be the brother of Jesus Christ. His vision, a radical transformation of society, fueled by a unique blend of Christianity and Chinese tradition. As the Taiping forces swept through the countryside, they captured cities and rallied millions to their cause. But this was no ordinary rebellion. It was a clash of ideologies, a battle for the soul of a nation. The Qing dynasty, struggling to maintain control, responded with brutal force. The conflict spiraled into chaos, leading to widespread famine and suffering. The toll was staggering. Estimates suggest that between 20 to 30 million lives were lost, making it one of the deadliest conflicts in history. Families were torn apart, cities lay in ruins, and the very fabric of Chinese society was forever altered. In the end, the Qing dynasty emerged victorious, but at an unimaginable cost. The Taiping Rebellion left scars that would haunt China for generations, a stark reminder of the power of belief and the depths of human tragedy. Number 2. World War II, 1939 to 1945. World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history. It erupted in 1939 and raged on until 1945, engulfing every continent and involving over 30 nations. But what led to this unprecedented scale of destruction? The war began with the invasion of Poland by Nazi Germany, igniting a chain reaction that would pull the world into chaos. As countries took sides, alliances formed, and the Axis powers clashed with the Allies. Battles raged from the beaches of Normandy to the deserts of North Africa, each one more brutal than the last. But it wasn't just the battlefield that changed. This war sparked incredible advancements in technology. From radar to the first jet fighters, innovations emerged at a staggering pace. And then came the atomic bomb, a weapon that would forever alter the course of warfare and humanity itself. By the time the dust settled, between 70 and 85 million lives were lost. Cities lay in ruins, and the world was forever changed. The aftermath reshaped global politics, leading to the Cold War and the establishment of the United Nations, a desperate attempt to prevent such devastation from ever happening again. World War II was not just a conflict, it was a turning point in history, a stark reminder of the depths of human conflict and the resilience of the human spirit. Number 1. Second Sino-Japanese War, 1937 to 1945. In the shadows of World War II lies a conflict that changed the course of history, the Second Sino-Japanese War. From 1937 to 1945, China became the battleground for a brutal struggle that would claim the lives of at least 20 million civilians and soldiers. Imagine cities reduced to rubble, families torn apart, and a nation fighting for survival against overwhelming odds. The Japanese invasion unleashed a wave of terror, with atrocities that still haunt the collective memory of China. The rape of Nanking, where countless lives were lost in a matter of weeks, stands as a chilling testament to the horrors of war. But amidst the devastation, stories of resilience emerged. Ordinary citizens banded together, forming resistance groups and fighting back against their oppressors. Their courage became a beacon of hope, igniting a spirit of unity that would ultimately lead to the end of the conflict. As the war drew to a close in 1945, the scars remained, but so did the strength of a nation. The Second Sino-Japanese War may have been overshadowed by larger global events, but its impact on China and the world is undeniable. It serves as a stark reminder of the cost of war and the enduring power of human resilience.